When greatness is recognized in the sports world, it is all encompassing and truly inspiring. So much so, in fact, that some are willing to go out of their way to feel just an ounce of that success, even if it means counterfeiting some of the greatest cards of all time along the way. Today, let's take an up-close and personal spotlight look at some of the attempts to recreate baseball legends alongside some of the real deals. On the greatest cards of all time, podcast number 6.
Greatest cards of all time, podcast number 6. Fake Babe Ruths. Specifically 1933 Goudey chewing gum Babe Ruth rookie cards.
The most faked.
The most fake Babe Ruth. Crazy. Fake Babe Ruths we're looking at today.
So take a look at eBay, all right, and take a look at the cards that are not graded, sold cards, listed cards. Look at the description. It's pretty interesting when you actually start diving into the listings on what was sold, what the cards look like, and listening to, shout out to Ryan Nolan, because I've been listening to him quite a bit on his YouTube channel, and he has the book called Spotting Fakes. I think
examining the top 50 fake cards,
right, which I think is only going to get worse. With I think the sport is obviously growing.
You think more fakes are coming?
More fakes are coming, yeah, and they're going to keep getting better and better too, with people pointing out the fakes. I mean, that's like the catch-22 there, where even individuals that Ryan Nolan interviews, experts on this area, they tend to not give out too many tips or clues or things that they're looking for, because they don't want to get the people that are, passing the counterfeits, they're listening to them too, so they're actually improving the cards as they listen to people give the information out. So
interesting.
That's part of the catch-22 here. But anyways, I did buy a fake Babe. They had one of the telltale signs in the listing, purchased at an auction, uncertain on authenticity. It was, some other description was a little shady. It was a little different than just that. I'm not going to get too much into it, but
we were able to look into it, study this card, learn some of these tricks to spotting some of these fakes.
Right.
So that was pretty fun and interesting.
So one thing that we started with, as you can see in the video here, is I purchased a couple reprints that were listed as reprints and priced as reprints to compare to this other card that we're not sure if it was reprints. So we started with, before we'll get into one of the telltale signs at the end here, but before that, we just wanted to look at this under a microscope, or under a magnifying, and just what did we notice that were some things that were different, that were sketchy, comparing these two, and then from there we'll compare it to an actual real Goudey. Unfortunately, not a real Babe Ruth, but a real Goudey from 33. So what did you want to point out, some of the things that you noticed initially when we looked at this?
When I looked at it under a jeweler's loop, I could see some fibrous materials that really made me believe, especially with this Wesley Farrell Goudey that we're going to take an up-close look at. You could see fibrous materials in that quality of paper. So there was fibrous materials I could see, and the only way I could see them in the George Herman Ruth card from Big League was kind of looked like a scan to me. Right. It looked like maybe a real card was scanned and that photo was laid over the back of a card. That's what it looked like to me. Couldn't see the literal, actual fibrous materials when I was looking at it under a jeweler's loop. Wesley Farrell, you could, and you could tell how the ink was actually stamped onto the card rather than just printed and laid over the top of the card. I didn't like that right away.
Right.
And then when we started looking into Ryan Nolan's book and started comparing the distance of the border from the top of the cap and things like that, obviously that's going to scream fake too. So
Right. Well, actually, so that's where this fake card that was passed off as authentic, it did pass those couple of tests. So if there is no space between the top of the Babe cap and then the white frame, it's clearly fake. Now, the one that was passed off as a fake or as a reprint has zero space. This one actually has yellow between the border and the cap. So it actually passed that part. And then the other one is the George Herman Babe Ruth. On the one that was clearly listed as a reprint, there's no space between the George and the white border. Again, and the Babe, same thing. But this one, even though it's fake, it actually has some actually color between the border and the George and the Babe. So there it actually passes that part, but it's got to pass them all. And again, one that when we compare it now to the real Goudey, I thought that really jumped out at me. Two things that really jumped out at me when we compared it to the real Goudey was just the print on the back of the card. Like the Wesley Farrell, which is a real 1930, it's green. It is green and it pops, and there's like nothing around the L or the E or whatever. It's green, and then it's the card stock, and it just pops.
We were noticing some blue halos,
right,
kind of around the printing when you examined it closely.
Right.
So I think that's what you're referring to.
For sure.
Definitely some blue, almost like a bleed through or something.
And the color looks different, so it doesn't even really look green under magnification. To me, it looked more black.
Right.
The Wesley Farrell,
much darker.
The real card, it had that greenness to it, and the fake Babe, it actually didn't really have that green color, and like you said, it had like a black halo all around it too. So that part wasn't great. And on the front of the card, another one that I thought was really different was the actual Goudey 1933 stamp on the West Farrell. That was crystal clear. You could see the dots. You could see the G and the G, the 1933 clearly. You could really see that clearly.
You could tell that it was stamped on there too. Like I was saying, they applied the ink. It was actually stamped onto the card instead of, just printed right over the top of it.
Right. On that fake Babe, when you looked at that under magnification, it was not clear. It was even hard to read the G. It was hard to read the 1933.
Yeah.
That part wasn't great. And then, I think unless there's something else you wanted to say, I think we can really jump into the telltale. Is this fake? Or,
the smoking gun.
The smoking gun.
This is a very good test, especially. I still recommend going through these steps first and thinking for yourself and determining whether these are real or not and comparing it to... It's nice to have cards around that are authentic so you can actually compare real ones to the ones that you end up purchasing, or if you're trying to figure out if something is legitimate or not. So
and that the smoking gun is the light test, and we'll show you here on the Wesley Farrell. We've got the light on. You can't see you can't see it. We flip it over here. Obviously, you can see we've got the light on still. Once we place that back down, you can still tell that the light's not coming through on the Farrell. Now, unfortunately, on the I'm not sure where I got it. I got it in an estate sale. That one, light goes right through it. That right there just tells you it's bogus.
It's a telltale sign, and it's very nice to compare the card stock. That's really what you're doing, is testing the card stock here. Once again, those fibrous materials do not leak that light through on these fakes. It's very hard to mimic paper from 1933, so it's ripping right through there.
We're not experts. One thing I want to say, because I'm not an expert, there's going to be these people that probably will take the back off of a card or the front off a card from a real 1933, and that in itself may prevent the light from going through. So
rebacking, because it is a genuine card.
So
back.
that may prevent the light to go through. So I'm confident, even though I'm not an expert, I'm confident in saying if you can see the light through there, it's a counterfeit. But I'm not confident in saying just because you cannot see the light that doesn't necessarily mean it's real. Now, again, I'm not an expert. I just wanted to throw that out there because if somebody can take the back off of it or what have you, that might be enough to stop the light from going through. Somebody then goes and does the light test and it's a fake front, and then all of a sudden, I just wanted to throw that out there because I still think it could be fake, even in the other scenario there.